Hi, Year 7. By now, you would be aware that there is a project that you may or may not have started for your science work. And this project is basically about building a zoo, but it's not building an entire zoo, but it's about making some models of animals and whether they might be made up or whether they are based on real animals or organisms. So this today, I'm just going to go through and give you an idea of what an example of what the final product is going to look like, so you can actually see the path for this project. So what I've done is I've decided to base my zoo on the marine environment, and I'm really interested in the Southern Ocean. So I've decided to choose some animals that live in the Southern Ocean. And I'm picking animals that have a connection with each other. So I started by making a rock crab. And you can see here, I've just made it out of clay or Play-Doh. And you can tell the size from it with a 20-cent piece. So it's fairly small. It's not much, it's smaller than my hand. And with that, I've then gone and done a little bit of research to find out exactly what its scientific name is, what class it belongs to, and also where it fits in the food chain, so its feeding level, or otherwise known as its trophic level. I also want to outline one of its adaptations, and I've picked the strong claws, and I've actually given a reason for that adaptation. What advantage does it give it? And it's used for catching prey and breaking over hard shells of limpets or other mollusks. So that little card that I've made to go with it is kind of like the information cards you might see in the zoo or an aquarium display, or something like that. It tells you a little bit about the animal that you're looking at. I've also done the same with this one, and it's the common Sydney octopus, an amazing animal. And I also included its scientific name, its class it belongs to, and the feeding level, and so on and so on. So I've also used clay to make this model of the octopus. Again, it's not perfect, but I've tried to represent some of its adaptations, and the colour being one of them, and also obviously the suckers that are underneath each of its tentacles. So now I've started to show you what these organisms would look like if they were on display in the zoo. So I've divided my sort of base sheet into 4, and I've just put some of the animals, the models that I've made, into their zoo enclosures. And I'm not the best at colouring in; it's a bit of a rush job, but I've just tried to show you exactly what, or an example of what you could produce as a zoo. So you can see there that I've included some of my information boards that go with it, and I've also got some other organisms as well. So you should really have a producer in your zoo display, and show the different levels of organisms that would be in an ecosystem if they were existing together. So obviously I haven't put the octopus with the crab, because it would definitely be eating that. And I've tried to keep some of the fish separate, because they would also possibly, the bigger fish would eat the octopus, and the seal is obviously in its own enclosure as well. That's just a close-up view, so you can see some of the labelling that I've done. So I didn't finish all the information cards, I just did a few just to show you. And then the other thing that's important is that you actually show some connections between the animals. Now, you should by now have started to, or have been doing quite a bit of work on what a food web looks like and how to construct one. So I've used all of the animals that I've created models of, and I've then drawn arrows to show connections between these organisms to show the transfer of energy. And that way I can actually show that I understand what eats what. in an ecosystem. So that's a general idea of what you can possibly produce at the end of your project when you've made all of your models. You could obviously make more than we're suggesting, but it's really up to you and your teacher as to how much you're able to do.